Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm actually going to post this video on both of my playlists. I'm including it in apologetics because I'm going to try to rationally explain something, but because it's so tied with what's going on right now, I'm also going to count this as a coronavirus update, and I'll put that on my normal feed. I want to speak just a little bit about what it means to be essential. I'm filming this on Friday. Our churches are gonna open up tomorrow and the next day, assuming no other calamity hits us in the meantime. And so we're all pretty busy. We're all a little anxious. Hoping that we've got our policies in place and all of that. I'm ready to go. But I still don't know what's actually awaiting me for those mass times. But the inspiration for this video happened last week. I was having dinner with some friends, and the big news was that President Trump declared all houses of worship essential and said that we could all open our doors last weekend. So again, the Catholic Church is going to open its doors, at least for the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, May 30th, May 31st. But other houses of worship, they got the green light from the president last week. And so, we're doing the dishes, and one of my friends asks, "So Justin, what do you think about President Trump declaring all houses of worship essential?" And I took a deep breath because I knew that was a loaded question. And I think I answered honestly, where I said, well, the biggest annoyance for me is when President Trump declares something like that, you get all the blowback from everybody else. And so now the internet was just full of everybody explaining how churches are not essential and this and that, and just a whole bunch of just nasty words which just weren't necessary. But she asked, do you think churches are essential? And I had to do that both and thing. The answer is yes and no. I think it's a little silly to say that a church is essential in the same way that a drugstore or a hospital is essential. Those are two very different things. But at the same time, yes, I do think a church is essential. And I'm going to explain what I mean about that in the second half of this video. But my frustration with the word essential, as it's being thrown around right now, is it's not so much an objective description of something as it is a buzzword. People are using the word essential as something that is more important than other things. And that's one way to use the word essential, I guess. But in the context of the real world now, I found it very misleading. Because there is a lot about our society and culture that is essential. There are things that we need, and to say that one thing is essential does not take away the essential nature of other things. So yeah, drugstores and hospitals are essential. We need those. We're in a health crisis right now. And I say the churches are essential. I'll explain that in a minute. But I also think schools are essential. They're essential, but we had to close them down anyway. It doesn't mean they're not important. It just means that overall, it was better to close them than keep them open. Likewise for houses of worship, it's fair that we had to close for a while. I don't begrudge the government entirely for that. I'm not entirely happy with the way we handled it, but the idea that churches had to close for a while for public health, yeah, that's fair. It doesn't mean that we're not essential. It just means that we did have to close for a time for the sake of public health. We need to dial back our use of the word essential as kind of a weapon to throw against other things. So hair salons, you're non-essential. Like, that's just mean. Maybe hair salons aren't essential. I'm not in a position to make that call. What I would rather make clear, though, is we can have this mutual respect for other businesses and organizations. We don't have to be in this constant state of attack and defense, of lashing out at other things because we're trying to validate our own existence instead of theirs or any of that. Like, it's all just not meaningless. I was going to use the word meaningless. It's unnecessary. That inflated conflict that we just have for one another sometimes, we'd be better off without it. So now that I've got that off my chest, I'm going to give you one little argument about why a church is essential. I believe that the basic idea of food groups apply to our bodies, our minds, our culture, and our entire lives as human beings. Now, I know the food pyramid has been under attack lately and all of that. The core idea is solid, though. A good diet is moderation. It's a little bit of everything. Your body needs a mix of things. I would say it's the same thing for your mind. You need alone time. You need social time. I firmly believe that everybody should be reading at least 2 books at any general time. A non-fiction book and a fiction book. They're so different, they serve different needs for the development of our minds. You should be educating yourself with a book, but you should also have some fun reading on your nightstand by your bed as well. And it's the same thing, with culture. We have a number of things that we need, and we should be hesitant to just rip 1 or 2 things out of our culture as if they don't matter. We need our faith. Our health, our mental, spiritual health will suffer when we just rip that out of our lives. You don't always realize it right away. When you cut something essential out of your diet, you won't necessarily recognize the symptoms right away. They won't come the first day necessarily, but your health still diminishes without that essential quality. And every once in a while in my life, I've done something. The only way I have to describe it is every once in a while I go bread crazy. I love bread. I love it. And every once in a while I go a little off the deep end. And in 2005, my year out of college, I lived in Madison on a very limited budget. And when you don't have very much money for food, you cut corners wherever you can. I was eating a lot of day-old bakery and very little else. And I remember I was just kind of, I'm a little embarrassed about this story because a smarter person probably would have figured this out faster than I did. But I went bread crazy for about a week. I was just saving a ton of money. I was eating bread every meal with almost nothing else. I wasn't even buttering the bread. I was just eating bread and then water and my copious amounts of coffee and all of that. And after a couple of days, I realized that I was eating a reasonable amount of food, but I wasn't satisfied. Like, I was consuming calories, but my body just, it started feeling weary. I was never nourished, not completely. And I realized, again, a little longer than it probably should have taken me, I realized that I was fatigued and malnourished because I was eating carbs and practically nothing else. I mean, I had cream in my coffee, so I guess I had a little bit of, protein and fat, but I was starving myself by eating too much. I was eating so much of one thing I neglected the other things my body needed. And it took me a little while to realize that. And once I did, I started buttering my bread, started balancing out my diet a little bit more, and my health returned. Exercising our faith is a lot like that. It is a contributor to our overall health. It is not the only thing we need. We need meaningful work. We need friends and family. We need recreation. All that stuff, which we clearly, we need. All that's great. But we also need our faith to sustain us. It is a food group for your life as a whole. And when you cut it out, your health will gradually wither until you reach that point where you lack the strength to do something. Strength that you had back when you had healthier habits. That's my invitation for you to think about. Is practicing our faith essential? Yes. It is essential in the way that most things are essential when they contribute to our overall health and well-being. So think about that. For those of you that are considering coming to church this weekend, best of luck. Stay safe. I will do everything I can on my end to keep you safe. And for those of you that are not ready, there is nothing wrong with that. Stay safe. Continue watching Mass on TV. And be good to yourself. And don't let yourself go bread crazy. God bless. Thank you for watching.